anytime you got all these secret societies, you got to understand that these people are out here in many different positions to deceive. They have blogs, they have radio stations, they have TV shows on the internet radio, books, they are professors, teachers, scientists, or what have you, Masons. Where do you think these people go back to when they leave these Masonic lodges, and they go back into their positions? Judges, doctors, lawyers. So I always tell people, when you believe certain things, especially like the Bible, the Hebrews who want to believe that we curse and all this stuff like that, when you start getting into this stuff, it is pushing us further away from who we truly are and not getting into the real truth about our history. So now, as I said before, to me, the key to all this, dinosaurs, dragons, the Bible. And when you start to really get into understanding these things, it starts to point itself out. The truth starts to slowly, because you have to start from the beginning. You got to go back. And that's the thing. They want to talk about, they tell us 65 million years ago, dinosaurs exist. And they went extinct before man came into being. But we found too much proof, too much evidence of humans and dinosaurs coexisting on this planet. And the Bible talks about this, when you understand, which we'll get into. And there's too much. It's just so much that you cannot ignore, especially the imagery and the rituals and the celebrations that go on that is surrounding dinosaurs, or surrounding dragons, I should say, which we know, as I said before, they were called dragons, not dinosaurs. Dinosaurs is a later name, 19th century. So they can't ignore this stuff. Got to look at it. We got to pay attention to what this stuff is really talking about and how deep it is. And it's deep, as you'll see. So we have the ancients, so many depictions and drawings of dinosaurs, proving that they must have coexisted, because no way they could draw these dinosaurs if they didn't see them. You have all the stories from, the Sumerian culture, the ancient Egyptians, even the Asians talking about these dragons, all these mythologies and stories everywhere, stuff that we can't ignore. So even if we want to go by the whole Sumerian story about this reptilian race, altering the DNA of man, that is implying that, man was already here. It's the same thing with the Bible. The Bible already basically implying that our DNA, or man, was fabricated. And that, there was a man, or a perfect man, before us at one point. Before what we know today as man, there was a perfect man that was altered to create what we have today. And it's also symbolized by the fall of man. Man was perfect, then it was the fall of man, and then we get what we have today. So again, you can't ignore this stuff. You got to put it together, and the pieces fit in very, very unbelievable ways when you start to pay attention. So now, Adam and Eve in the garden is representing perfect man. Man as it was at some point, until the serpent came and changed that. Now, as I said, it's a lot of different things we can get from the Garden of Eden story. Now, we know for a fact, 100%, dinosaurs existed and they ruled on this planet. Is it far-fetched to believe that there could be, or could have been, a reptilian race similar to us during that time? No, it's not far-fetched to think that. It's something that we really have to entertain and think about, because there's too much going on here with this dinosaur, or this reptilian reference. So when you begin to understand, we see that the Adam and Eve in the garden representing perfect man, the serpent is representing the reptilian who came and changed man into what we are today, came and altered man. So when you look at the story, this is exactly what it's telling us. You had perfect man representing something different, until the serpent came, or reptilian came and changed that. It's going to make a lot of sense later. Came and changed that whole thing. And the Bible talks about, all the creeping things and all the animals and everything that was created before man, and that fits, with evolution theory. But, when we take a look at this whole, reptilian thing and begin to understand how we fit in with it, in evolution, you had reptilians, mammals, and birds were the last three to basically evolve on the evolutionary scale, on the chart. So we know, they tell us that humans and primates share a common ancestor. Well, birds also share that common ancestor with us. And it's, weird to see that the last three, humans or mammals, reptilians, and birds, share this common ancestor. So we know that you have this whole missing link, and you have the fact that this common ancestor basically is the missing link. And that if we understood what this common ancestor was, we will be able to figure out, where we came from. So if you look at the evolutionary chart, this whole common ancestor should fit here on the chart. And it should come right after the reptilians, the reptiles. So now the thing is, you had, as I talked about before, the whole green anole had its genome sequenced. And it says here, the green anole genome contains approximately 17,500 protein coding genes. Of those genes, 4,000 are also found in humans, mouse, dog, possums, platypus, chicken, zebrafinch, and pufferfish. So we see we got that connection. Now, and again, as I said, the last three to evolve, mammals, birds, and reptiles. It says here, it turns out, and it appears, mammal hair, bird feathers, and reptile scales all share common ancestry. So now, human skin, mammal hair, bird feathers, reptilian skin, all same common ancestor. This is why you see people that have that rare skin disease where they grow scales. This is why we see people that are extra hairy. You have some people just grow way more hair, than others. And we share this common ancestor. Now, this is one of the things that, in my research, and probably some of yours as well, one of the things that basically had me stuck for a while is, again, they tell us that we did not evolve from primates. We didn't come from them, but we share a common ancestor that they can't tell us, what that is. Now, the whole thing is this. When you look at chimps, when you look at monkeys, you can't deny the similarities. I mean, you just can't. Look at the hands, look like ours, teeth, eyes. It is clearly that, it's clear that we basically are in the same, genetic code, or, we share that same common ancestor. That is something to me that is clear. Obviously, we didn't evolve from them because we don't see primates turning into humans. So what it looks like when you begin to understand this whole thing is whatever our common ancestor was, it must have had two different evolutionary paths. One different from the evolution that the primates made, and then one for humans. Because you have the fact that you have this missing link, whatever it is, that basically created these primates, and they went their path, which stops. And then we have ours being as though we didn't come from them. So we took another direction from this common ancestor, and we went another way as far as our evolution. But they basically they took traits from the primates and put it with us and gave us some of these traits and these genes or what have you to further our evolution. So we're clearly different. When you look at primates, they have 48 chromosomes. We have 46. And the first two of our chromosomes are fused together. So that shows you right there, we're talking about genetic manipulation. We have 64 codons. Now, of the 64 codons, only 22 are active, or are basically encoded with the universal genetic code, that we carry. So these 20 that are basically active in producing this genetic code are basically, gives us amino acids. So we understand how important amino acids are. It says here the role of amino acids goes beyond building blocks. They are essential for the synthesis of proteins, enzymes, hormones, neurotransmitters, metabolic pathways, mental stabilization, and just about every function that takes place within the human body. So when you think about that, and you think about having 64 codons that's supposed to, produce these amino acids, that's basically going to give us these different functions. And we only have 20 that's giving us these functions. So the understanding is if all 64 of the codons was produced in amino acids, we would have way more functions from the body. We'd be able to do a lot more than what we do today. We'll be different genetically. We'll be different humans. But we only have certain ones that work. So again, you have, the fact that we have all these codons. It's like, why give us this? You understand what I'm saying? Why give us this? It's the same thing with the brain. Why do we have all these things that we're only using some? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's like, having a car, but you pushing it. Yeah, it got 4 wheels, that'll help it roll. You can put it in neutral to make it easier. You can beep the horn. You can put somebody in it, to steer it. But, why do all that and not just have the car function correctly and just drive the car, instead of pushing it around? So for us to have all these components that's supposed to do so many different things, and a lot of them we have no clue what that is, they're shut off, shut off. So now when we look at these chimpanzees and these great apes, their bones are different than us. Their nature is, of course, different. Their bones are thicker than ours. They're able to take way more, pressure or trauma to the body than we can. If we had to go one-on-one with an ape or, a chimp, they kill us. They rip our hand off. So it's a lot that we can look at and see that, if you're going to sort of create something better, because seemingly what it looks like, if they was going one way with the primates and they decided to scrap that and go a different way, which we're going to talk about in a second, but we're weaker. It's like we are weaker, but, more intelligent. But we don't really truly understand the real nature of these primates, and it gets much deeper than that. So it says here, another as yet unexplained phenomenon the sequencing revealed has to do with the lumps of DNA known as centromeres, which hold together the 2 separate strands of DNA that make up chromosome, acting somewhat like the center of an X. Strangely, 9 of the 22 centromeres the monkeys have repositioned themselves on their chromosomes in the last 25 million years. As to why this happened, no one knows, said the researcher Mariano Rocci at the University of Bari in Italy. The rhesus monkey genome sequence should prove invaluable to biomedical research, and physician scientist Ajit Varki at the University of California at San Diego, who participated in the chimpanzee genome sequencing project. And if we can get the genome sequences of one representative from each primate lineage, we could reconstitute the ancestral primate genome, what the genome of our common ancestors some 40 to 50 million years ago looked like. He told Life Science that would be an amazing feat. So what does this mean? What is it saying here? It's saying that the primates we know of today, not only us, but they as well, had their DNA altered. He's saying that if they could do the sequencing of one of each of the ancestral primates, follow their lineage back and do a genome sequencing of each one in each lineage, they could probably get what, the primates must have looked like before this whole change. Now, as he said, they had their chromosomes repositioned, and they don't know how that happened or why that happened, which that would, of course, change their nature, change their appearance as well. And it's amazing. So these monkeys we have walking around today, look completely different, were completely different. And that probably was done, to probably confuse them, or probably to, for them thinking ahead later, it will be tougher for you to understand exactly who that common ancestor was if they were left alone. So by them having this mix up with the chromosomes, and then now them having to basically try to go back, and we're talking about, you have primates that's extinct, and ones that that existed that we probably don't know ever existed on top of that. So it might be impossible to do a sequencing of all of them from every lineage to figure out, what it looked like or what that common ancestor must have been. So now that's crazy. We have absolutely no clue what the primates are, but we study them and we know they are, unique. They are definitely related to us. It's clear to see when you look at them. For all we know, they could have looked like this. They could have looked like Planet of the Apes. They could have been walking around, talking, and had intelligence. We don't know. It seems as if this common ancestor, whoever created them first. And they were a certain way. And they were going in that direction. And then all of a sudden, they were altered. Their evolution was stopped and they were changed into what we know as primates today, what we see them as today. And then they stopped there and went with us and took some of the genetic code and genes from them, and placed them to us and started with us, like as if they were starting something different. This is why, they say, the scientists always say that we didn't evolve from primates, but we share a common ancestor.